Now we've got the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman. Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
So there was reporting that Dr. Oz had overseen scientific experiments that killed over 300 dogs. Can I get your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean it's disturbing to say the least, and the fact that they actually Colombia had to pay a fine because the violence was excessive, and again it's disturbing, and it's something that Dr. Oz refuses to acknowledge or to answer towards again. And I just can't imagine any Republicans or Democrats, even in Pennsylvania, are they the pro let dogs suffer plank in the platform, so it's just, again, nothing that he'll acknowledge, and it's shocking.
I think too, if people need a differentiator, you've got two rescues and they've literally got their own Twitter accounts, and meanwhile you've got this guy who's responsible for having overseen the deaths of hundreds of dogs. I mean, it's just it's incredible.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. We have Levi and Artie, and have both come from extreme background of abuse. And they're just loving animals, and they are just amazing members of our family. And the fact that they just threw them away, literally, in the trash, it's unconscionable.
It's kind of a joke that the worst thing you could do is kill a puppy. It's like comic book villain level stuff. Like, you'd say, well, at least he didn't kill a puppy, meaning it's the bottom of the barrel, like most depraved thing you could possibly do. And yet, how do you think the voters of Pennsylvania are responding to this news?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Even if you believe that experimenting on puppies was justified by science or whatever, but the fact that you would even throw them out like trash, and even one of them were actually alive too, is again, it's just, there's no possible way for them to justify this. And the fact, again, they had to pay a fine in response to that. It's true. It's astonishing.
It's a tacit admission that what they did actually happened, and that they assumed responsibility for it. Okay, so moving away from
the dogs are upset. You're even talking about it. They're barking.
Yeah, well, to that point, moving away from as much as I'd love
hear about it either.
As much as I'd love to stay on this issue of dead animals, I do want to move on. The Washington Post published an expose also outlining Oz's past of hawking a bunch of shady products and miracle cures. What does it say that a doctor would exploit people with false promises of miracle cures? And what does it say about who he would be as a senator?
What it says is that a man that is willing to peddle things that he knows not only it doesn't even do what it says it's supposed to do, it actually is dangerous. And talking about a pregnant woman, with a $500 calories on a day kind of diet, or any of these things. I mean, it's right there. It's not in some kind of like biased kind of outlet. It's the Washington Post coming out and talking about this, and it's Dr. Oz has traded his reputation as was at one point a respected doctor to choose millions of dollars on things that are just absolutely they know was phony. And I don't know if you mentioned that we even put it up with Dr. Nick on The Simpsons, and of course the Simpsons always predicts the future, but nobody would think that an actual doctor actually would exist before with Dr. Nick. That's why the satire was beyond the pale, but it literally was, and it matches it up back to back to back on it. With now it's over, it's 1.6 million views, because people understand it's true that that you to really take it in, that you made the point, nobody would think you'd have to kill a puppy, okay, but yet here we are. Or if you would never have something as absurd as Dr. Nick, but here it is where they're saying hey, you want to lose weight? it's a magic pill, or just eat whatever you want and it's all going to work. I mean, it's the same kind of energy that this campaign has always had, where it's surreal. And running a campaign on lies, because his whole career was on career, and that's where we're at.
Obviously, Dr. Oz is going all in on the attacks against you following your stroke, between criticizing some of your debate requests and just straight up mocking you, mocking your diet. On a human level, what does it say that what should be this guy's one redeeming quality, like you said before, the fact that he is a purported medical professional, that he's willing to use your health challenges, to score a cheap political win against you?
I agree. I always like to say that, by January, I'll be even, better, but you'll still be a fraud, Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
And, he understands that. And also with respects to the debate, we were always going to have a debate, and that was always clear. And the fact that debates in Pennsylvania Senate race has always happened in the middle to the end of October, as it has in every other race in the history. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. True. This idea that we're going to have a debate on Labor Day or any of these other things, it's just absurd. And it's only because he was talking about mocking the fact that I had a stroke. And again, what kind of a doctor makes fun of somebody that's sick and you really want to remain sick? It's twisted. And that's the way the campaign is gone, because have been desperate to try to change up the dynamic of this race.
Yeah. I mean, it's twisted on a human level, not to mention, the fact that of all people, a doctor should be able to recognize, the significance of giving somebody some grace when they've just had a stroke. But in any case, like you said, that's who he is. One attack that Oz is desperately trying to make stick is that somehow you're soft on crime. Can you talk about your record as it relates to crime from your time as the mayor of Braddock?
Absolutely. Of course, you have a man that made a career on lying on television. So they're running a kind of campaign that's on that. My record on crime is something I'm actually running on. And I'm running on it because as mayor in a community that has had a significant gun violence problem. That's why I ran for mayor. And as mayor, we went 5.5 years. We stopped it for 5.5 years. No killings or no gun deaths in Pennsylvania, in Braddock at all. That's never happened before or since my time as mayor. And I did it by working with the police and working with the community, and was able to achieve a result that hasn't, again, been possible before. And giving thousands of people with nonviolent crimes, that have been living their best life, and allowing them a second chance to get a free way to start over. That's what we stand for too. In whether it's with marijuana or whether it's just these other kind of nonviolent kind of crimes that gives them a second chance. And that's what I run on too. And of course, they want to lie about it, and they want to push back it in a way that distorts it or takes things out of context, because they can't get them to like Dr. Oz. So they figure all they can do is try to get me not to be liked, and they lie about it.
John, can you talk about the tattoos on your arms as it relates to exactly this issue?
Absolutely. It's about every day that as mayor that we lost people through violence. We did every day, and there was a story behind every one of them. And I was on site every single one of them. I stood over the bodies of people that lost their lives in a very violent way. And until you fully see up close what a gun does to a person, it doesn't change how you look at the world. And it was what motivated me to be mayor and to make sure that it stopped. And that's what we made it did. In fact, there is a gap in my tattoos for over 5 years because we able to stop that. And I've seen firsthand what a military grade round does to a person's body, and see that up close.
You have permanent reminders tattooed onto your body of every single homicide that occurred in Braddock. And the guy who's busy hawking goji berries to his marks, is trying to paint you as not caring about people. Yeah. I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I have to read my note. Like Garcini Carbogia. I have to even, even with a stroke, even missing a word, I can able to have to pronounce it. These kind of things, and they know that it's a fraud, and they're fine as long as the money's coming in. Right. And that's exactly what he's chosen to make his career about.
Can you talk about the impact that Roe has had on this race? And have you heard from independents or Republicans who have pledged to support your campaign because of it?
It has absolutely activated the electorate here in Pennsylvania, especially women. And we had a rally in Montgomery County. It was our Fetter Woman event. Over 3,000 people showed up. Over 3,000 people showed up for that, because people are agitated and they're outraged that Dr. Oz believes that the choice belongs with him, not women in Pennsylvania and their doctors. And Dr. Oz refuses to answer on his national abortion ban from Senator Graham. And we've asked again and again, why can't you answer it? For a doctor that makes fun of every time I miss a word, there's two words that are missing for Dr. Oz, and that's yes or no on the national abortion ban. And they refuse to provide that answer because they understand that Pennsylvania wants it, and women demand it, and they of course don't want to give it, their answer.
What's your message to independents and pro-democracy Republicans who are still considering deferring to the Republican Party but only have soft support? Like, what do you say to those squishy independents and Republicans?
No, pro-democracy. Look, Dr. Oz quite literally in one day was in Pennsylvania, and he was asked, and he's like, yes, Joe Biden won free and honest in 2020. And then when he was on Fox News, he said, oh, no, there's much too evidence to consider before I can give a real answer on that. And that really is who he is. He will say whatever he believes is the right answer, depending on the room or the crowd he's in front of. Who can stand in Philadelphia and claim Joe Biden won and it was fair, and then on Fox saying, oh, it's unsure. How can we know? We don't have enough evidence, And again, the voters also understand that true. Dr. Oz is so badly underwater with his favorability. And as I said, if you can't make your candidate to like you, then they try to trash with lies, the opponent. And that's exactly the only thing that they've chosen to do.
John, are you gonna be able to wear pants in the United States Senate?
Yeah, I would wear pants or a suit, as I have been as lieutenant governor, true. But I think people in Pennsylvania would relate to somebody that dresses like a real person, a regular person, as opposed to some guy that wears a $5,000 fancy suit, to go around. So I think that resonates more with people in Pennsylvania, but I guess that'll be on the ballot too.
John, how can we help your campaign? How can listeners and viewers help?
Share our story, chip in $10 if you'd like at johnfetterman.com, and just, use your own platform to just really share the story here, because in Pennsylvania, it is literally the most important race here in the United States, and everyone can help. You can volunteer, you can do text banking, you can do calls. There's any way to get involved on johnfetterman.com. And thank you so much, because as a guy that started my career by one vote, only one vote, my first election winning by one vote, means that any person that gets involved, it all matters.
Excellent. We'll leave it there. John Fetterman, thank you so much for taking the time, and good luck on these last few weeks of campaigning.
Thank you so much.